But when the fullness of time was come, God sent forth his Son, made of a woman, made under the law. That law that governed Israel, right? To redeem them that were under the law, that we might receive the adoption of son. And Jesus he came, yes, under that law. And this is how I see these verses as I read them. He came under that law. He came to redeem those that was under that Levitical law. But he also came to redeem all those that were oppressed and under the burden of sin. Because John 3:16 tells us he come to save this world. Right? And the next verse says, and because ye are sons, God has sent forth the Spirit of his Son into your hearts, crying, Abba, Father. Wherefore, thou art no more a servant but a son, and if a son, then an heir of God through Christ. And we all become heir of God through Christ. Not just Israel. Jesus did not come to redeem Israel only, but he came to save this whole world. And as I read these verses, I see that redemption for both nations, for the Gentile nations and for the children of Israel. And we become heir. We can say, our Father, those of the children of Israel that accept Jesus Christ, we are now one. And if we continue reading through Galatians, we see that there's neither Jew nor Gentiles anymore. We are one in Christ Jesus. Once we are adopted into that family, we become that children and family of God. I want you to turn to Hebrews 2, 9 and 10. Hebrews 2, verse 9. But we see Jesus, who was made a little lower than the angels for the suffering of death, crowned with glory and honor, that he by the grace of God should taste death for every man. For it became him, for whom are all things, and by whom are all things, in bringing many sons unto glory, to make the captain of their salvation perfect through suffering. So Jesus is the captain of our salvation, the originator. He is the author of our salvation. That's what Hebrews 12 tells us. He's the author and finisher of our faith. Jesus, he was made lower than the angels. He gave up. He gave up the glory that he had. And he accepted a body that was compatible to the one God made in the Garden of Eden. It was like unto us for the suffering of sin. And he did suffer. He died. And he became the captain of our salvation, the author of our salvation, the beginner of our salvation. Jesus made this possible, what we have today. Through his death and his resurrection, he pleaded with his Father to give us, just as he had. And so God gave us of the Spirit of his Son. And so we can call on God and say, our Father. Hebrews 12. Hebrews 12. In verse 5. Hebrews 12:5. And ye have forgotten the exhortation which speaketh unto you as unto children. My son, despise not thou the chastening of the Lord, nor faint when thou art rebuked of him. We find that in Proverbs. For whom the Lord loveth, he chasteneth, and scourgeth every son whom he receiveth. If ye endure chastening, God dealeth with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father chasteneth not? So, being adopted into this family, if you run through some hard time, some difficult time, if you find yourself things are rough, whether spiritually or physically, do not have the urge to go back to your former family. Do not have the urge to go back to this world. Because we probably will make mistakes as we come into this family, as any normal children growing up. But you want to treat all children alike, and God will treat every child alike. Look at what his son suffered, his only son, Jesus Christ. He allowed him to go through all that suffering for sin, for us, suffering of sin to redeem us. If we are adopted into this family, the devil will come up against us just as he did with Jesus. When Jesus was baptized, what happened? The devil tempted him. He says, hey, if you're the Son of God, why don't you try this? Show me your powers. Command these stones to turn bread. What was Jesus' response? Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God.